Hi, how are you, Shereen?
So good. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to be able to interview you and to share this story. I think it's a really amazing project.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot. It means the
Yeah,
world.
so I'm the editor of Urban Faith. We reach Black churches across the country and
Outstanding.
some internationally as well. And
Yeah.
I just I was really impressed to watch this. I had never heard about the Promised Land, and I think this is such a fun way to tell a timeless story. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to be involved with this project, capturing, a biblical story with humor like this?
Yeah, no, it was a no-brainer. Like I'm an actor, obviously, and I saw the breakdown for Miriam, and in spite of not being like in like I'm not in the faith-based community per se.
Yeah,
I um it just flew off the page for me. Like the story, um the character, like how well written it and she is.
yeah,
It was just on its own merits. I knew it was going to be so fun, and I think that the Moses story particularly is so it's exciting, and I don't think there's any mistake that there's been many a movie made by it with so many different interpretations and treatments. Uh, but because it's like you're whoa, you're like, is this the Bible or is this an action story?
yeah,
Like
yep,
there's
yep.
a lot going on, and so so it's just right for for even like storytelling as we know it in modern day. But I really love that it's unifying in a way because it's not only a Christian story, but it's a Jewish story. It's also
Yeah,
an Islamic story.
yeah,
And my family's Islamic, and so like I was just like, oh, this is really beautiful and timely, and because we need these points where we can all, just see that how uh we're so the same,
yeah,
in this world. We are all one indeed. And so under God. And so I loved that. But and then just like creatively, Miriam is so fun. I just love the handling of that juxtaposition between somebody who's like sort of, reticent and, like often the smartest person in the room, but like never is given, always overlooked.
yeah,
And, and that is such like a tale as old as time, but then has this other like dual energy of like being utterly passionate and considers herself an artist, and she takes herself so seriously. And she's a prophetess, and she does have this like, intimate covenant with God in her own way, and certainly through her music and all of these things. I was like, it was like I said, a no-brainer. I was like, I'm auditioning for this, come what may, and I like had just a blast doing it, and here we are. So
it was amazing to see you just bring Miriam to life in a way that, again, she's such an overlooked character in a lot of
yeah,
people's memory of the Moses story. And it's like Moses and Aaron, and then like everybody else. And Miriam is right there,
yeah.
such a strong presence. And you really do a great job playing on the humor of her being overlooked, and at the same time her great intelligence, power. I mean, and can you talk a little bit more about like why Miriam is exciting to you
Yeah.
as a character, especially again being a woman in that story with such an important role?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you're sort of zeroing in on a part of it where it's like, again, it's a tale as old as time, and I think Miriam is so relatable,
Yeah,
and we all have been there, and in the context, it's because she's a woman, and women are viewed as property and all of this, but when we like take it to present time, like we've all been in that position. I certainly have been, like
yeah.
working. I used to have a corporate job, and yeah, I'm like, wow, I feel like I know the answer, but nobody's hearing it.
Yeah. Yep.
And And it's like the like nowadays it's not even necessarily like a gender issue. Like you just, sometimes you just like are in that situation. So it's so relatable. And it certainly is an aspect I think of every one of our like hero's journey. Like when
Yeah.
you like individually, like we like at some point if you're on the right path towards your ascension and your expansion, you're going to get people who are going to purposefully overlook you. And this sort of thing in this way, like it's so relevant, and even
Yeah.
though like in the context it's like, it's in this area, like to play that and to like, whether or not it like again, like as it pertains to what's actually happening as you see it, but then when you see the character choice as written and like as we all get to perform it, and this is across the board for the ensemble, I think. Like I think what's happening is like that opportunity to connect with everybody in the audience is like understanding of like, oh yeah, yeah, that is what humans do.
Yep.
Like, it's such a human, and so in this way, it's like so unifying, I think it's so beautiful, and in this like maybe like I mean, I mean, in this very real way, it's like it's kind of it's silly, but it's really important to me.
Yeah. I think that one of the things I love is that you bring humor into telling this story, because so often I think that we take ourselves too seriously,
Yes.
especially, as people, right, right, and then in faith communities. And I think this makes it so much more relatable and brings it to life in a fresh way. Can you talk about why you like comedy as a vehicle for telling this story? Uh,
Yeah. 100. That's comedy is about telling the truth.
yeah.
Like that, like it's funny because it's true. Like as we've heard over and over again now, it like said as a soundbite, but that is where it's at. And and it's taking the truth and then leaning into it as far as you can go so
Mm,
that, and so um and the way that that's handled here in the Promised Land, because of like the documentary, mockumentary format and that style, it's like it's kind of grounded in this naturalism. And so it's like it's true, it's real, it's felt, but now it's like what's also true is everybody's super passionate about what their point of
mm,
view is, and so that's like this is the style of comedy that I really love. Like it really uplifts me
yeah.
because again, it really underscores rather than handling everything as a bit. And sometimes they are. They're just really like vaudevillian almost, a
Yeah.
bit. But really like my favorite stuff that we're doing here, and then as I see out what I see out in the world is like when it's like, oh, like that is a really astute observation of how humans is like even on their best days can be so ridiculous, you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, and the most mundane things sometimes, and like by putting a fine point on things, and then how yeah, we just sort of bump up against um, like the different resistances, like where I think like with Miriam, the fun thing that's always played is that, in that contradiction or just um
Attention.
the tension, thank you, that's it.
Yeah.
Between the fact that like I think the thing we share with the audience is that like yeah, Miriam might be the smarter, more capable one in this room, but everyone else is has the power.
Yeah.
And again, it's true, but it's funny and it's also like, yeah, we all know what that's like,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that you have this workplace comedy again. I think that that brings it. I'm sitting in the office now, right? Like so many of us have been there and been in
Yeah.
those sorts of situations. Um, what would you share about just how you're able to translate some of that reality we live in, that we work in, that's present day, to these stories that are thousands of years old? Like, what is it like to make that connection between something that is, so old, but like you said, it's timeless, and ways that we deal with in our lives today?
Yeah, and I think the show does a really good job of that, through my character. That's a big highlight, the plight of the woman in leadership.
Yeah.
And this is ordained, like by way of Moses through
Yeah.
God, and even still, the people have trouble getting over their preconceptions about who Miriam is,
Yeah.
and first and foremost that she's just a woman, and so that's one way and then out into the rest of the storytelling, you see how you'll see throughout season one how like the people, in spite again, like just have some faith, just hang in there, man. But people are so used to their creature comforts, or like the ability, like even the idea that they were Egyptian slaves just a little bit ago, like a year ago,
Yep.
by now, that they were so okay, perhaps what you sort of start to get the feeling that like the mundanity of feeling fine and going through like the day that they could expect
Mm.
became, like maybe like as they remember it, more desirable than just being free people and having to fend for yourself, and then like and having some faith in God, and like listening to Moses and Aaron, and just like tucking in for a second, and like and letting things fall into place a minute.
Yeah.
They all uprise. It's like I think as we saw in episode 3, which came out just last night on YouTube. And so that's something we see all the time. Like, in spite of you have all the information, just be patient, have a little faith, but people constantly undermine themselves,
Yeah.
or like each other, and they rile each other up. And it really is down to like, fear, discomfort, a lack of faith,
Yeah.
and, yeah. And so that's, that's fun to sort of see, like to see highlighted, because again, it's just so relatable.
Yeah, last question for you.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on some of the themes and things that are brought up by this. If you're talking to, especially we talk to lots of young people who are trying to find themselves and find their place and find their voice, what would you say to them about how this story, your character, can help them to find their voice, find their place in the midst of a world that may seem really complicated, or really confusing, to be able to have faith or patience or whatever? What would you say to those young folks trying to find their way?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd say, like non-prophetically at all, like, but like I really do believe that God has given each of us a unique individual voice, unique way that we come into this world to express and communicate to each other, and all in effort to, on in this plane, in this existence, to really like find moments of unity and peace, and and so just know that. And if you ever feel shaken, just have again faith and trust in what that special gift that you may have is, whether it's music, mathematics, coding,
Yeah.
video game, you have a banging TikTok channel, whatever it is,
Right, right.
and history, storytelling, all of these things, just lean into it hard, and like don't listen to, it's funny, like the outside voices, external voices are one thing, but it's the inner voice that can kind of be the most undermining sometimes. So,
Yeah.
hold fast and know you're here for a good reason, and that, I like by all accounts, it's from, that's from on high, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I thank you so much, Shereen. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to watching
Oh,
more
and
episodes.
likewise.
I
Thank you for
watched the
all
first
that you
one
do.
and watched it again with my wife and was like, this is great. And you
Thank you. That
already ended
means absolute world. Truly, truly, truly. It's like it makes me so happy that that you like it and that it's landing. So appreciate you.